Hey folks, it's time for the quote of the day, and today we're going to be quoting a foundational writer. When I say foundational, I mean that quite literally, and I don't want to say legendary because, well, a lot of people nowadays don't really know who he is, which is unfortunate. But he influenced a litany, like hundreds of writers have basically branched off of him. Today we're honoring, you'll see what I did there. Uh, the French writer and one of the more notable names in literary history, Honore de Balzac. Today is his birthday. Now, if you don't know who Balzac is, then you're probably gonna be like, "What did you just call me?" But no, that's his name. His name is Honore de Balzac. It's honor with an e at the end, de Balzac. And like I'm gonna be very honest. I'm gonna tell you this story. I'm gonna be very honest about this. I, a lot of people just kind of, and I've been told this, so I'm not making this assumption. A lot of people think that I like shuffle into a corner with a bunch of like tightly bound books and just sit there and read all day long or something like that. I don't know where people think I get my knowledge from, but I've been told that I come off as studious, which is true to a certain degree when it comes to certain things. But Balzac is not one of them. I have read some Balzac. This dude wrote 100+ fucking things, so I can't. There's no way I'm gonna read all that, right? First of all, some of it hasn't even been translated into English, and that's not entirely true. It's just hard to find those translations. And you know, I don't speak French, so I haven't read everything. But it is a funny story how I learned who Balzac was, and I'm going to tell you that story because you know, if if you go through it with me, you'll kind of get where my mind works. Um, so there is there is a musical called The Music Man. There was a movie they used to show it in schools, which is crazy when you think about it. With starring Robert Preston. I absolutely loved this musical when I was a kid. It was they showed it. It was like our treat. Like we would have like non-study days, and they would put on Music Man, and all the other kids would turn away and be like, "What is this bullshit?" And I'd be like, you know, 76 trombones, and I would love it. I fucking loved it. It was just one of my favorite fucking things. And I'll be honest with you, it's crazy that they played it in school because it's literally just a story of a con man coming into a town and trying to cheat everybody. Like that's the story, but it's a great fucking story. Now there is a part I definitely liked it. I liked it. I liked the fact that this con man was so charismatic. I did. I liked that. Now that being said, there's a character named Marion the librarian. Now Marion is going. I forgot. She's going to some function or something, and there are some ladies that are basically talking about things that at the library and how Marion is peddling smut and things like that. And they start going and talking like they're, you know, they're just having their conversation. I was gonna do I'm not gonna do the thing anyway, but they're talking about Marion and gossiping and things like that, and they start talking about how she's got this like horrible stuff that, like I said, the smut that she's peddling at the library, and she mentions Chaucer, who was a writer that I've talked about here, and Balzac is how the lady in the play says it. She's like Balzac. Now, when you're like 14 years old and you see some lady on the screen go Balzac, all it is a fucking punchline, right? Like I giggled every time. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I had no idea that that was actually somebody's name. I didn't know he was a real person, and it would take it would take some years of me just, you know, out of the blue looking at somebody and going Balzac for me to realize that I should probably actually learn, like just the same thing with Chaucer. I should learn who these people are. So I just want to make sure that people know that it's not all like not everything, not all the knowledge that I acquire is through the most, you know, eruditic of pursuits. It's not like that. Sometimes it's really just as simple as his name is funny and I wanted to know what it was about. So anyway, yes, Honore de Balzac is an absolutely stunningly influential writer. Now his magnum opus is called The Human Comedy. And this is a multi like 90 100 plus volumes that he wrote, right? Like, and it's really important to understand this. There are people out there that'll say, "Oh, I've read Balzac," and very few of them have actually read all of his works. Like I said, some of them were translated, and some of those translations are not easy to find. You can get them online easier now, but for many years they were very difficult to find. Now, you know, in the age we live in now, you can search up pretty much all of it. So there are people out there today that have taken the time to read it, all the translated versions, and even people that, you know, speak and read French. They've read it all, but it's not something that's as common as you would expect for somebody that is as influential as he is. Now, when I talk about the amount of work he's did, this is an important tidbit, and then we'll get to the quote. If you're a coffee drinker, then Balzac is probably like your patron saint, like that. Very good chance of that. There is obviously unconfirmed, but there is many rumors, and the belief is that Balzac drank up to and possibly over 50 cups of coffee a day. A day, 50. Like he was just constantly wired. He was like, punch up time, let's go. Right? Like he was just constantly fucking working on stuff because he was and he was on I mean, he was elevated all the time in a way that like your average caffeine drinker can only dream of, right? Like most of us can't even imagine what that would feel like. This dude was like constantly constant, and you gotta remember that was back in, you know, 18 something. Like this is some strong shit. Like 1825, this is some strong shit that he's getting. So, you know, pure uncut coffee. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but that's you have to imagine he was probably pretty pumped up, and that's how he was able to write so much. Now we're gonna get to the quote. I'm gonna give you two quotes because I think that they are very closely. They're not really related, but they are very close in my mind. Now the first one, obviously by Honore de Balzac. He once said, "People who are in love suspect nothing or everything. People who are in love suspect nothing or everything." And this is so goddamn true that it almost hurts to read that out loud. This is at the heart of what love is, and this is one of the things that I absolutely love about him is that when you read his writing, you feel the characters, you feel the city. Everything he writes is in Paris, and you feel the emotion of all. He gives that feeling to you as the reader. He with his descriptions and the way that he does things is just it's just amazing. But in this particular line, I can't help but just feel the truth of that. You know, a lot of times, especially in social media nowadays, we talk about toxic relationships, we talk about insecurity, we talk about all these things. What people always forget when you're talking about real, true love is that it requires a level of pain, really. It requires you to give so much of yourself, to trust someone else with so much of yourself that it is almost inevitable if you love someone truly in a healthy way, even to not doubt, to not fear, because you're giving so much of yourself, right? Like that's what love is. That's what true love is giving of yourself and saying, here's my heart, do with it what you will. And then you have to sit and watch them, and you just hope that they're not going to stab it, that they're not going to burn it, that they're not, you know what I mean? Like that's really honestly what it is. And this quote just means so much to me because a lot of times we tend to judge others based on their actions when they're in love, and we forget about the fact that that love brings about, you know, insecurity. It brings about like fear of how someone's going to handle your heart. And we need to have grace for that. We need to be willing to be accepting of that fear and understand and put people put people at rest with our actions and our words. Now, as far as the other quote, and I think this lines up a little bit with the previous one, he also said, "The more one judges, the less one loves. The more one judges, the less one loves." I think this is true. I don't really need to go into detail on this one. I think that it's pretty self-explanatory. When you judge someone, you take away a little piece of your ability to love them. It's maybe small, but it's something. Anyway, happy birthday to Honore de Balzac, and to the rest of you. Please take care of yourself, take care of others. I'll talk to you soon.